There is a space in my heart where I find the truth. I find me in you, a truth beyond what you may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. I see with new eyes, allow and unfold, embrace and let go, trust the flow. There's a freedom in love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger than we could ever be apart. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Breathe in and out, slowly feel all that's around you, all that you feel, all that you know. Let it go. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. Yeah, when we unite. Oh, we unite. Yeah, yeah, when we unite. Yeah, yeah. You are welcome here. Love is welcome here. Peace is welcome here. You are welcome here.
Now you see me, now you don't. Yes, yes, yes. Let's take a deep breath in before we even move forward. And breathe it out. Reminding yourself that something is breathing you. Something grand, glorious, and amazing is breathing you, and it doesn't need your permission. It breathes you whether you're acting up or you're showing out. It continues to breathe you. That's that thing. It's known by many names. Call it God, call it the divine, call it the universe, call it Allah, call it Buddha, call it Jesus, call it whatever. He, she, it doesn't care. It is here to give you life. Not because he, she, it wants anything from you. That's just its nature. So you might as well connect with it. Take another deep breath. Remind yourself that you're here. You're alive. You have an opportunity to do things differently. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and good day to you wherever you are in the world, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, or IG. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for tuning in. And as you tune in, you give yourself permission to listen. And as you listen, you will be transformed. The best way to go through life is to make yourself available to be transformed, to change and be transformed. Otherwise, you're going to be pretty pissed off. Like, why is this happening to me? Well, actually, you might still feel that even while you're giving yourself permission to be transformed. But there is something that happens when you are open, available, and willing that you may still be feeling some of the things you felt before, but you're a little bit more pliable, more flexible. Like, I don't like this, but I trust the process. I am Ade, your transformational beingness artist. Welcome to another episode of Ade Presents, Being You, the journey back to yourself. Season 3, episode 6, Tuesday, today's date, Tuesday, February 9th, 2021. In fact, today is Rev D's birthday, so join me in celebrating Rev D. Yes, it is February 9th. And Rev D, you know her. She's the author of The Sacred Yes and Your Deepest Intent. Just a powerful woman. And I'm telling you, she played a major role in who I am today. She helped me trust my voice, trust my life. And she's here every first Tuesday of the month. And if you've missed any of the shows, you know where to go. Go to the Being You podcast page on Facebook or go to YouTube. YouTube.com YouTube.com/LC Radio. New Jace is in the house. We see you today. Man, I am a poet and I know it. My dear and my Aries sister, thank you for being here. Ellen C is seeing everything and getting it done. Thank you for seeing over all things. I am excited. We're doing something different today. So I don't know how the show is going to unfold. What I'm going to tell you is today we're just calling it Q&A with Ade. Speaking of being a poet, okay, I'm going to stop. Anyway, I want to invite you to join us on the main Being You page on Facebook, Being You podcast page on Facebook. Go over there, like and share, and interact there because, you get more interaction and then we get to see you. Now, as I always say, I do get to see you if you're on Instagram, where I'm streaming on Instagram today. I always do. But something about I don't know what's going on. We'll blame it on Mercury. It looks kind of jacked up, but who cares? But yes, on Facebook and YouTube. We are also building the Being You podcast page. So we invite you to go over there. Come on. You can do it. We trust in you. And I'll always invite you to be part of the show. Today's Q&A with Ade, so it's going to be good. I know it's going to be good. And we might be finishing early. That's the intent. I have a webinar later on, and I need to do some things before I go live on that webinar. So, and no, it's not a public one, so I can't announce it. It's for a special group. Well, not special group. It's for a membership-based group. That's right. Because I don't want to say you ain't special. Well, you are. You are special, and you're not. Because we're all special, and we're not. We're just an expression of the divine. Not just, but you know what I mean. All right, let's see. Leslie's in the house, handling the behind the scenes. Thank you, Leslie, for everything, for doing what you do, for your consciousness, for your insight, your mind, your creativity. Thank you. I appreciate it. Ade Presents being used an invitation is an opportunity for you to really check with yourself and see, how do you see yourself? How do you really see yourself? Not based on what your parents said about you, what your teacher said about you, what your partner, husband, wife is saying about you. How do you see yourself? How do you see yourself in the world? How are you showing up? What does that look like? Are you contributing? Are you taking up space? How do you see yourself in the world? Well, I think I said that twice, didn't I? So how you see yourself, how you see the world, and how you see yourself in the world. Those are questions that you can digest. It gives you different perspective. And more importantly, or just as important, how you see the world in you. You know, there is no separation. You know that. How do you see the world in you? What are you creating? What are you making happen? Making happen? Okay. Sounds kind of jacked up, but you know what I mean. All right, announcements, because I want to jump into this. Quali's in the house. Oh boy, I am all shook up now. Quali is what I'm going for. Yes, some friendly announcements. Perfect. I like it. So, if you're looking to start a podcast, or you already have a podcast and you're maybe looking for a different hosting site, I want to invite you, present an opportunity, give you an opportunity, give you something, a little something. Yeah, libsyn.com. Libsyn, LIBSYN.com. Check it out. Check out the services. I'm going to give you a promo code. If you use my promo code, you're going to get a good deal. Now, here's how it works. I have to explain this part. The promo code is ADE, A-D-E. Okay? A-D-E. If you sign up today's February 9th, you will get the whole of February free and the whole of March. Now, you saw what was on the screen said 1 month. Yeah, by default, you're going to get 1 month free. And it also depends on when you sign up for the account. If you sign up on the 26th of February, then you get the rest of February free and the whole of March. So my advice to you is to sign up from the 2nd of a month. Well, the earliest you can, but the 2nd of the month. Do not sign up on the 1st. If you sign up on the 1st, you get a blip free, and then that's it. The 2nd of the month, anywhere, so you get almost 2 months. Well, 2 months free, really. Less 1 day. All right. Promo code is ADE, A-D-E. Check it out. Okay, what else am I doing? Every Wednesday, if you're in America, and Thursday, if you're in the UK, I am with my dear sister friend, Ricky Byers, and we host soulful songs and soulful conversations. Every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. UK time. So if you're up in UK, hang out with me. Or you can do what I do. Take a nap, like 2 hours, hour and a half, and then wake up. That's what I do. I think I got one more thing to tell you. So I did an interview with a friend of mine, Carolyn Renee. She interviewed me on her podcast. And her podcast is called Art Shouts. It screams. It wakes you up. Art Shouts podcast. We talked about my drumming, the healing power of drumming, what it does to me, how it makes me come alive. I love being interviewed because I don't know the questions beforehand. For the most part, I'm not interested in knowing the questions beforehand. I like to stay open and let spirit come through. So, and Carolyn Renee, she was asking questions that made me go deeper than deep. And I can tell you that the interview, the conversation shifted me in ways that I may talk about today. I don't know. If you want to find out more about it, you want to listen to the podcast, go to artsexchange.org. Now, I'm going to tell you how to spell the website because it's a little bit tricky. Arts, A-R-T-S, exchange.org. No E, don't add the E. Arts, ARTS, exchange.org. Check it out. It's on the first page. And let me know what you think. Maybe, you know, if you're inspired, if there's something about it that you liked, or something you want to ask me about that I said. You know, it's like, say more about that. I think you didn't finish that thought. I think you had more to say, but you were holding back. Or maybe it changed your life. You're like, oh my God, I saw the face of God when I was listening to you. Stroke my ego. Yeah, you know, you got to stroke your ego every now and then, because if you don't, your ego gets kind of neglected, and you start throwing tantrums and just getting all up in your you know what. So anyway, sometimes you just got to stroke your ego. So okay, sit down, that's enough. I'm doing a radio show or a podcast or a TV show. So I told you we're doing something different today, and it is question. No, I like the way it sounds. What Leslie called it, Q&A with Ade. Oh, I'm going to bring Leslie on to tell us what that's about. Are you ready to come tell us, Leslie, to tell us what this Q&A with Ade is about? I'm trying to rap. Yeah, don't come in yet. Let me get my rhythm together. Let me get my drum. No, I won't. Come on. Come, bring yourself on. I am not going there. Rapping ain't what I do.
Greetings, everyone. Ade. Yes, so Q&A with Ade kind of developed as this idea after, you know, last week's episode, and Ade was really putting out that we want to really get more interaction going with the with the questions during the live broadcast. So we got a lot of amazing responses and a lot of amazing comments. And, you know, what was really coming up was a lot of folks were like, you know, I'm listening while I'm listening. It's hard. Sometimes my best questions come after the fact, or when I'm listening and reflecting and then really thinking about what's going on. And, you know, we're always on to the next episode, the next guest, and that's really exciting. But it was like, the idea kind of developed, wouldn't it be amazing to have this sort of Q&A episode and just really ask Ade, you know, these burning questions. What kind of thoughts are you hoping to really hear from, extrapolate what he was just saying about the Arts Exchange episode? Just go ahead and pick his brain. So we have a nice little collection of some questions and comments that have been coming in, and kind of grouped a few together that seem to speak to one another, and we're gonna give this a shot. You know, we're beta testing this, so yay! Thank you, welcome.
You see that? We switched. It didn't even see it happen. Did you see that? We getting very quick. Yeah, you got the crown. You got to wear the crown. I got to make sure whoever's talking wears the crown. Yeah, you know, one of the things I love about this, because this reminded me when I was hosting Live Conversations Radio on Blog Talk Radio many years ago, and just in preparing for the show, I just keep feeling the fact that I love questions. You know, I remember someone said to me many years ago, and she was channeling, I don't know if it was a reading, we were just talking, and she just tuned in. She said, you're the voice of your ancestors. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Yet I felt it. And I know, you know, when I am in this space, I hear things that I didn't even know a few seconds ago, a few minutes ago. And so I love questions and being able to help people navigate life. Because sometimes, especially in the New Thought community, our spiritual communities, or just human period, we hear something and it feels and sounds good. Like, oh my God, that's deep. Like, oh, I'm glad I got that. Now I got to go back to reality. So for me, it's like we can integrate the two. There is only one life. There is no spiritual life and then relationship life or personal life. It's all one. So yes, it's okay. It's all your face, Leslie. It's like a teleprompter. But there is only one life, and we get to integrate what we learn, what we know, in ways that changes our perspective if you choose. For me, that's what I live for, to be more. So anyway, over to you, Leslie. What are we doing next?
right, so I guess we'll just go ahead and begin, and I'll just read off the questions, kind of keep you on your toes. And then, of course, we invite anyone who's listening live, feel free to continue to add some questions if they come up into the comments. We'll put them into this rotation, or I don't know, we'll see what this goes. Maybe it'll be a new segment or something. And so keep them coming. Okay, here we go.
Do you want them to post it on the Being You podcast page? I think that's a good place.
Yes, that'll be the best spot, just because then everything is all connected and in one spot. So in case you've been missing our lovely little banners or hints, Facebook.com, Being You podcast. Okay.
And if they're on YouTube, we're going to get it anyway, so you can
get it also from YouTube.
Now, I think we should also speak to if they want to send a question but don't want people to know who they are, right?
Yeah, so if you don't want it to be listed up live like we do with the comments or things like that, you can send a direct message through the BU podcast on Facebook.
Yes.
It'll probably get lost in other spots.
It certainly will. Now, I just had a thought. I think we kind of talked about this, but I don't know. Anyway, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my email open for those on YouTube. They can't direct message. I have a friend I know, she just does not like Facebook, and she's listening. New Jays. Oops, did I say the name? No, I didn't. She can't stand Facebook. But yeah, you can, if you want to send me a email, you can go to my website, lifecoachade.com. I'm messing with Leslie. That's it. Lifecoachade.com, lifecoachade.com. You can go to the contact page and send it from there. All right, I'm ready when you are.
Okay. All right. So question 1. This is kind of fun. Well, I won't even get into that. But yes. All right. So, question 1, Ade. How does prayer affect the outcome of life? Why is prayer necessary?
How does prayer affect the outcome of life? Well, I'm going to answer the second part first. Why is prayer necessary? Now, what I will say is prayer means different things to different people. For some people, prayer means you pray and you hope God is available to answer your prayer. That God won't put you on hold. You pray and you might say, God might say no, or God might say yes. There are some people who are saying there's some things you shouldn't pray for. I don't understand that, but okay. There's some things you shouldn't ask God for. For me, what I will say is prayer is not for God. Prayer is for you. So why is prayer necessary? Prayer is necessary so that you can align yourself with the divine will. So you can align yourself with higher purpose, if you will, higher perspective, higher thoughts. Because from a human perspective, we're bombarded with so much. And there are many levels. So sometimes when it comes to thinking, you're probably thinking the thoughts you've been thinking for the past few weeks, few months, few years. Prayer is an opportunity to rise above. And even more importantly, prayer is a shift in consciousness. It's a shift in mindset. It's shifting yourself, shifting what you're looking at or how you're looking at it. So for me, I am an affirmative prayer kind of guy. Affirmative prayer, you are affirming what you know to be true. Like I said, some people feel like they got to pray to God to do this, to fight their battles, and that's fine. If your prayer is, God help me, that's a good prayer. If your prayer is, I am grateful, that's a good prayer. What I find for me, affirmative prayer, where you're affirming the truth that you know. What does that look like? Before I tell you what that looks like, or before I show you what that looks like, when you're affirming, You're declaring what you know to be true about you and about God. You're declaring your oneness. So no matter what is going on in the news, no matter what's going on in your house, well, no matter what's going on in your relationship, you recognize it. You see what is happening. It may be unpleasant. You may be struggling. It may be hard. But you are now going deep inside of yourself and reminding you that God is the only thing happening, that there is no spot where God is not. Right where I am, God is. So I see that I'm challenged. I'm experiencing a lot of struggle and challenge and pain in my relationship. I am affirming that I am aligned with the divine will of God in this relationship. I am aligning with the best with my supervisor. I am aligning with the best with my wife, with my husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, with my child. I recognize that they're a child of God. They're a child of God. I'm a child of God. I see that an expression of love, an expression of God, expression of the divine. I know God loves them just as much as God loves me. I know deep down they want to do what is right. Deep down, I want to do what is right. And I surrender right now to the will of God. I surrender to divine right action. I surrender to the answer. I surrender to the solution that wants to birth itself through and as me. When you speak words of truth, you are going to feel your vibration change. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. You're going to raise your own consciousness. When you raise your consciousness, you see differently, you think differently. So prayer is nothing more than a shift in consciousness. Prayer is action. You've heard or not, pray and move your feet. So rather than pray and wait for God, you can do that. And you may get a result. I don't know. Maybe we do. There's a lot of things we don't know. However, when you pray, when you make the declaration and recognize that no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and you know you're always protected, something shifts in your mind. So prayer is a shift in consciousness. It's action. You get to be about the change. You get to be the change you're praying for. You get to be the answered prayer. So why is prayer necessary? That's my answer. But you don't have to pray. I'm never going to tell anybody you have to pray. But if you want to shift your vibration, that's one of the tools that I know. There are many ways. You can meditate, you can go for a walk, you can journal, you can beat the living hell out of a pillow, you can scream, you can go to a therapist, you can go to your minister, you can go to your imam, you can go wherever, you can go to the ocean, you can go to the forest and talk to the trees. Some people might be freaked out, but good. Some of them you want them to get freaked out of your life. There is no spot where God is not. And here's the kicker. Is prayer necessary? Maybe. But every thought is a prayer. Think about the thoughts you're thinking about right now. Or think about the thoughts you're thinking. Because when you think about the thoughts you're thinking, you can make a different choice. The thought you're sending out right now, that's a prayer. Your thoughts are creative impulses. And it's not private. Every thought we put out there is creating at some level. It could be just as simple if you wanting to buy a car and you're not sure which kind of car you want to buy, what color it is. You have several choices. The minute you decide you want a Kia Soul, you're going to start seeing it everywhere. Because you've tuned your mind. Like when you want to listen to a certain radio show. You remember when we used to tune radios? Not anymore now, just digital. Actually, it's just click online. You can just tune. You tune in your thoughts. You tune in your mind to tap into the goodness, the godness. The good that God is. That is one with you. There is no spot where God is not. So if your prayer is, thank you, it's good enough. In one of the holy books, we're told that God said, even before you ask, I already answered. Because I'm just loving like that. Now what? What's the other part of the question? Leslie said to me, we might only do 2 questions because I know when you take one of these questions, you can do a whole show on it. And it's true. So, all right, what's the other part of the question? I don't remember. What is it, Leslie? I'm waiting for you to flash it up. There you go. Thank you. How does prayer affect the outcome of our lives? I think I've pretty much answered it. And what I will say is it changes how you see your situation. You can think of this pandemic, this lockdown in UK and how it's showing up in other parts of the world. You can judge it, you can criticize it, you could feel frustrated about it. If you understand that, okay, I may not be able to travel, but I'm grateful that I can get on Zoom and connect with family members, maybe family members that I haven't talked to in a while. I'm grateful that I can still hear their voices. I'm grateful that I'm healthy. I'm grateful that I'm learning new ways to be in relationship. So, it is what you say it is. You get to decide. So, if you remember that every thought is a prayer, you might want to interrupt some of your thoughts sometimes. If you don't want to see it happen, think a new thought. Yes, Leslie, I'm ready for the next one. I try and keep it short.
That's okay. No, it's beautiful. I loved everything you were saying about the surrendering, and actually what you said, no spot where God is not, really brings us to this next question perfectly. I don't know how you do that. You just always tap in. But this next set of questions here.
Thank you, Sophie. Oh, what happened? Oh, we lost. Leslie went to the void. She'll be back. She went into the void. I don't have the questions. Let's see here. All right.
The next question that we have here is, it's about Mercury, right? How do you recognize God's voice, right? If God is everywhere, no spot where he's not, is the ability to hear God actually a faith-based exercise? So take it.
Faith-based, as in religion. No. It does require faith. Faith is not just limited. It's not. Faith is a spiritual quality. Faith is your ability to see the invisible. It's your ability to visualize. It's your ability to imagine. It's your ability to see what you want, even though it hasn't manifested. So in that sense, yes, a faith-based in that aspect, but it's not about religion. If you want to make it about religion, that's fine too. It doesn't matter. I spent so much time going into these questions, I forgot the first part of the yeah, but actually leave it up so that way I don't have to, just leave it up. How do you recognize God's voice? You develop a relationship. If you're dating somebody, if you're in a relationship, or maybe your parents, if you're in a crowd and your mom or your dad or your son or your daughter or your father, I said that already, right? Or your girlfriend or somebody you went to school with that that you speak to regularly call your name, you may not see them, but you know that voice. You know that's your mother. You know that's your father. You know that's your friend. Because you are in relationship with them. The voice of God comes in so many ways. Sometimes it comes as a thought. Sometimes, for me, it's a feeling. It's a knowing. And I know that the word God makes it kind of limiting because there are those of us who are saying, I'm not religious. I'm just more spiritual. But sometimes it's fine, but we don't have to get caught up in that because it really doesn't matter. Religion for me, even spiritual, well, let me say religion is just represents the many languages in which God speaks to its creation. So, yes, in some ways, religion has done some things that make us question. How could you say you represent God? How can you say this is a holy war? How can you say you are sentencing somebody to death in the name of God? Humans, we are so fickle. We've made God in our own image. So, how do you recognize God's voice? For me, one, I think more important is, meditation, journaling, and trusting the voice. I remember I went through a phase when I would say something like, I don't know if it's me or if it's God. And I had friends like, I got an answer, but I don't know if it's me or if it's God. I get it. I understand it. Looking back, I get it. But if God is the only thing happening, if that's what you subscribe to, I certainly do. Everything is an extension of God. I'm going to say it this way. Everything is an extension of God, creation of God, the divine. And God, the divine, is the infinite. There is no beginning, there is no end. And regardless of what you read, everybody tries to capture the beginning based on culture, tradition, their understanding. There is no beginning. That blows the intellectual mind. What do you mean there is no beginning? Even when you think of your birth and you say, well, I'm 1 year old. Well, a 1 year old wouldn't say that, but we'll say a child is 1 year old, right? Did their life begin when they were born? Did it begin when they came out of the womb, of the birth canal? Or was it when the head popped out? Did their life really begin at conception? Where really is the beginning? In the beginning is the moment that you choose it to be. So as you continue to get quiet, more importantly, to get still, you get very intimate with a part of yourself that is connected to your higher self, that is always broadcasting, that is always guiding you. You hear people say, I'm sure you've said it, something told me to go this direction. Something told me not to do that. So you can even call God something. That's something. That's something that is always guiding and nurturing you and breathing you. The voice of God is your voice. And you get to choose how you want to use the power of the voice of God that is expressing itself as you. You get to choose. God is. God is what? God is. God is whatever you say God is. And I find that it's very, very important to develop your own relationship. Earlier when I was talking about prayer, I thought about a friend. I do air quotes because we don't really talk now. I don't know what happened. Something happened. Life happened. Season changed. And she was telling me, she said, oh, I don't know what I'm going to church tomorrow. I don't know what I can't even tell it without laughing. I don't know what I'm going to wear tomorrow. And I said, well, ask God to tell you what to wear. Oh my God, you would have thought I told her to go kill somebody. What kind of question is that, Ademola? Ademola? She's Nigerian too, so I'm doing the accent. Ademola, how am I going to ask God what I'm going to wear? I was really shocked. I'm like, what is the problem here? Like, I really was trying to understand why she thought that was a ridiculous thing to say. She thought it was ridiculous. Like, we don't need to ask God what we're supposed to wear. That we need to ask God more bigger things. And I'm like what? And she was not going to budge, which was fine. I just gently pull back. Like, okay, well, figure it out. And it's all about our relationship. It's all about what we've learned, our understanding of God. Everybody has their understanding of who and what God is. You don't have to agree what I see and what I feel, what I believe. Find yours. Don't listen to other people. Don't listen to the leaders. Don't listen to the podcast hosts. But when you listen to them, let me say it this way. When you listen to them, Use that as a catalyst for you to know what it means to you. Because if you're living your life based on what someone else said, and you don't get to try it out, you don't get to practice it, you can't really have faith in it. You can't trust it. Intellectually, you can say, yeah, I get it. But when push comes to shove, when life is confronting you, and it's just you, and you can't get on the internet or get on social media, and you can't find one of those memes or videos to say, I think someone needs to hear this today. It's just you and God. If you can't access God in that space, it can be very difficult. So everything that you hear, everything that you see, everything that you read, if it's deep, especially when you find like it's deep, see how it applies to you. See how it applies to your culture. See if it aligns with your tradition, your understanding of God. I was born in the UK, Nigerian heritage. Our culture is about God is everywhere. God is all there is. It's not just words, the prayer, the language that we speak. It's all about that. And I invite you to check out African spirituality, not the other BS they teach you about Africa or African spirituality. That's not the question, so I won't go on down there. But maybe I will. There's a lot of stuff out there that is just wrong. And part of it, some of it's about control. Control could happen in a spiritual community. Control can happen in a religious community, in school, in politics. But that ain't got nothing to do with God. God is love, unconditional love. God is. We have choice, free choice, to use the power that is God, the power of God that is us, to create, to speak the truth, to speak words of love, words of compassion, words of understanding. Even that the devil made me do it. Shut the flip up. The devil don't even know your zip code. We're blaming folks, or the spiritual people were like, oh man, I was trying to be loving, but my ego was all up in the way. Shut the flip up. Your ego like, you stroked me early. I'm taking a nap. Be responsible for your action 100%. Everything is an expression of the divine. Everything is an expression of the divine. Everything is an expression of the divine. Our mission, our responsibility is to look through and look at the things that are uncomfortable. If you're willing to do the work, when people say, where's God in this? Don't ask the question and wait for God to appear. I mean, it might happen. You're there. So God is living its life as you. But challenge yourself to see God. I'm not talking about just some kind of idea, some kind of fantasy. It's like, what is God trying to say in this situation? How is the divine? How is the divine in this experience? I don't get it. And sometimes what you might find is God shows up in a way to teach you, to teach us what not to do to one another. The wisdom to treat each other differently. We all know what to do. We know it. We know what to do. But we've been programmed to doubt. We've been programmed to not express our heart, our truth, because they're going to think we're weird, we're strange. We're strange. If you really want to make a change, your heart's going to break open. Sometimes, most times, you're going to be uncomfortable. And we got to learn. We got to learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I'll tell you something, you will hear the voice of God so clear. It'll scare you, baby. So how do you recognize the voice of God? You listen. That's the short answer. Take time to listen. Get still. I'm loving this. I don't know what y'all getting out of it, but I'm having a great time. All right, I'm ready, Leslie, for the next one.
Okay, no, that's great. We did get a question which you sort of spoke to that came in through the private message, and it was just, what tips do you have for trusting that voice once you hear it? So I know you were saying listen, so what about the trusting factor? Would you like to go a little more on that question?
Sure, be willing to make a mistake. That's simple. Be willing to get it wrong. You know, be willing to fall off the bike. Be willing. And when another thing, so that could be scary. I'm an Aries, ruled by Mars. So bring it on. but if you're not an Aries, not ruled by Mars, you might like, yeah, that's all well and good, but there's other people's life at stake. Well, recognize that God is in them too. What is important is your intent. So when you hear it or you think you've heard it, what is your intent? And as you're taking the step, you stay in communication. Show me what I need to see. Tell me what I need to know. Make it plain, make it simple. It's a relationship. Treat your relationship with the divine like you're dating somebody on a relationship. Bro, when you're in a romantic relationship, sometimes you take your partner for granted. But if you're dating somebody and you think you're kind of, I think this can go somewhere, there's a sort of intimacy that you allow. You're willing to say a little bit more. You're willing to share a little bit more. You're willing to share your mistakes. You're willing to ask questions. If you're really serious about the relationship, same thing. You're willing to get it wrong. Be willing to make mistakes. Trust comes by you keep doing it. And here's another good news. The good news. God uses everything. God wastes nothing. If your intention is clear, your intention is pure, you can do the wrong thing and it turns out right. If your intention is pure, if it's coming from a place of love, I like that. Listen, and you will glisten. I know that's right. If your intention is pure, you can do the wrong thing and it turns out right. If your intention is not pure, hey Keisha, if your intention is not pure and you're trying to pretend doing the right thing, you more than likely will turn out wrong. Intentions matter. Your intention matters. So trust the voice, walk, be willing to be vulnerable, be willing to make a mistake, and stay in communication. If you're in a romantic relationship, you stay in communication. You send a text, you send a WhatsApp, you send an IG message, everything, or what else? Zoom, you record yourself. Staying in communication. So much so that you don't have to hear the person's voice to know what they're saying. So that's what I got.
All right, great. So that's, I like the listen and glisten, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think, you didn't put out Ask Anything. So a few questions that we received were around, what does your spiritual routine or schedule look like? I think this flows nicely again. What spirit-based things do you do daily? So I think they're asking you specifically to connect to source. This last person was, I get overwhelmed with all that I want to do and then seem to lack consistency. Is this a problem?
I ain't telling you about my business. I'm just answering questions. Yeah, no, I'm kidding. Oh yeah, leave that up. Oh yeah, no, you gotta leave that up now. That's a lot. You know how I go through each question and break it down. So I need to see the question. So my spiritual practice. What does your spiritual routine schedule look like? It started off where it was meditation. And I think part of it too, of course, some of you don't know this. It started my spiritual journey. Well, let me say it this way. My conscious spiritual journey, because I believe we're all on a spiritual journey, whether you know it or not, whether you accept it or not. Life is spiritual. your physicality. Humanity is an expression of your spiritual nature, of your spiritual self. Right? Got it? Good. So when I got on the spiritual journey consciously, meditation was my first go-to. And then, because I used to be the kind of person when I got in the car, just turn on the radio. Just get in the car, turn on the radio. When I get in the house, turn on the radio. But during that time, because I wanted to hear clearly, I wanted to know, I would get in the car, not turn on my radio. And sometimes drive without music or nothing, just silence. Well, it's not silence, but you know, there's noise going on all around you. That's how it started. And then over the years, it's changed. Meditation is consistent. That's almost every day. I read your The Sacred Yes. I read Your Deepest Intent. I have read A Course in Miracles. But let me tell you what it is now. For me, I'm experimenting. I'm going to be a little bit, guess when this is where you say full disclosure. I don't know if it's even full disclosure, but something I'm experimenting. But yeah, I guess more confession. My spiritual journey has got me to a place where I realized that I was in a transactional relationship with God. What do I mean by that? I had this unconscious belief. I didn't know it until it made itself conscious. And that happens. You know, the more you do the spiritual work, it comes up. You get to hear what you need to hear. And but there's a question about something about how do you hear the voice of God or whatever. Don't wait for, it's God at the door. You've been praying. No. It's simpler than that. It just something will just rise up in you. It's the voice of God, it's the voice of the divine. It's in you. So I recently, not long ago, maybe about a month, realized that I had been in a transactional relationship with God. And the belief was, if I don't meditate, if I don't do my spiritual practice, then I'm doing something wrong and I might not get what I'm supposed to get praying to God. It was really subtle. So when it came, I knew it. I can feel it. Like I felt like I must always meditate and pray every morning, or else I'm going to get in trouble, or else what I'm visioning for is not going to happen. And of course, when it hit me, it was like, whoa. I mean, we've been taught that you got to do good for God to kind of listen to you and then answer your prayer. So for me, I think it's even before I had that awareness, I started to experiment. Like, you know, today I'm not going to meditate. I felt like I was testing something. Like I felt there were times I felt like I'm being bad, but I wanted to experience. If I believe, if I say that there is no spot where God is not, if I say God is right where I am, always loving me unconditionally, I can really try that out. As opposed to saying, well, if I don't meditate, if I don't journal, if I don't read a book that helps me, a spiritual book, if you will, then I might get in trouble. So for me now, today I meditate today, actually twice. And even before my show, I take a moment to just get still. My life itself is a spiritual practice now. There is no separation anymore. When I'm talking to people, I'm listening. I'm making sure for me that what I'm saying is it's authentic. I'm in integrity with myself. God is right where you are. So when you're being true to somebody, true with other people, you're being true to yourself, you're being true to God. You would know it. So when you're doing stupid blank, that's what you're putting out there. And it will come back to you on some level. And you don't even have to wait because you will feel it. So for me now, my whole day is a spiritual practice. I can just stop, do an affirmative prayer. But what I do when I wake up, definitely meditation. I read, sometimes journal. I haven't journaled in a while, maybe about a week ago. Sometimes I don't feel it. Sometimes I just go with a nudge. Sometimes I wake up with a song. It may be a song that I've heard a long time ago, and I'll go listen to the song, and the words, the lyrics of the song speaks to me. It's like, that's what I need. Sometimes I get messages in my dream. So spiritual practice for me, it's making myself available, and I can do that any time of the day. Let's see. 1 second. What spiritual? Wait, slow down. Let's go back. What spiritual based things do you do? Okay, I guess I've said it right. Oh, the other thing I got to say is nature does it for me. Trees. Now I've moved. I'm now next like 5-7 minutes from the ocean. Less than 10 minutes. I go there. Sometimes I'm just looking at the vastness of the ocean and just breathing it in. Nature is a good tool. Sometimes some people have a spiritual experience with their dogs, with their cat. Just get quiet. Some people say, oh, when I get quiet, my thoughts get okay. Listen to music. Listen to a guided meditation. Let your intent be pure. Go for a walk. And I'm not talking about a walk. I'm going to go for a walk as a spiritual practice. I'm going to walk to the grocery store. No. That's walking with an agenda. There's a difference between walking to a grocery store or wherever and just walking and not even knowing where you're going and when you're coming back. You're just walking. Maybe you're walking for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, for an hour. It frees your mind. I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you what I know. I have received messages just going for a walk. And if all else fails, go in the shower, because I get powerful messages when I go in the shower. Don't stay there too long. You're coming out looking like a raisin. But hey, maybe that's what needs to happen. All right, I'm done with that question. What are we doing for time? Yeah, because we're finishing early today. The next question is, I have so many things I want to do and lack consistency. Oh, this is part. Okay, is that a problem? I don't mean to laugh. I don't know. Is there a problem? If you have so many things you want to do and you lack consistency, is that a problem for you? If it's not a problem for you, then it ain't a problem. I can never tell anybody what the problem is. I mean, I can, but it's not true because it's based on my own understanding. But if you're asking the question, then obviously there's something about it that you feel like, yeah, I need to change that. And you say, I have so many things I want to do. I don't know what that means when you say many things you want to do, like on a daily basis. You can only do one thing at a time. So if you have many things you want to do one thing at a time. That's good enough. If you lack consistency, find something to develop. Clearly, you want to develop some kind of consistency. Find something. The fact that you're asking the question, that's your spirit talking to you. if one thing I need to learn is to eat breakfast at almost the same time. I eat breakfast at, well, now it's actually gone. It's ridiculous. It used to be 2-3 p.m. That's right, breakfast, right? Now that I've moved, it's like 5 o'clock p.m., 6 p.m. Last night, I didn't eat anything. Yesterday, I didn't eat anything until 8:30. It's like, come on, man. Just stop it. Sometimes cooking is just too much. Just too much. Anyway, all right, I've answered that question. I can't take it. I need things to be easy when it comes to food. I don't know what that would look like. Hey, Leslie.
Hi again. No, I think that was great. I think that question up was the part 2 to relating the spiritual routine and schedule. But yeah, if the spirit is asking, you're absolutely right. Take a look at that, right? So the next question is, what is grace and how can it show up in the world?
Many people have, I just want to double check my email here. There are many definitions that people have. It could be religiously. It could be based on from a religious understanding or spiritual understanding. And in the Christian faith, if I'm correct, we're told that grace comes from God through Jesus the Christ. For me, well, generally, there's also the understanding that grace is the unmerited favor, which can be translated when you say unmerited, that you don't deserve it. In fact, it doesn't mean that. Grace is God's expression of unconditional love. That's the way I see it. It's God's expression of unconditional love. The question said, how can it show up in the world? It's showing up every day, every moment, even now. I am feeling so graceful in this moment. Some of you are listening to somebody else's question and it's bringing light, it's bringing understanding. Same thing, light, understanding, the same. Bringing light, it's bringing understanding. You're finding some kind of ease in it. That's grace. You know, there's something that's bothering you and you don't know how it's going to resolve itself. And you keep praying or you keep talking to friends, especially between that moment, between awake and about to sleep. You put your head on the pillow and you're kind of awake, but you're more asleep. And in that moment, when you get to see and feel what is true about your life, and maybe you have a dream, maybe you get clear, or you wake up in the morning and you feel like you can get up and do it again. That's grace. Grace is, and it is, because I really want to make this real. But I'm like, this is what I'm hearing, but I'm like, oh, I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. Grace is, some people may be pissed off about this, but have grace on yourself and relax, because every thought is a prayer. Remember I said that? Grace is having a president that you're like, where the hell did this guy come from? And now having a new president. Like, whoo, thank God. Grace is everywhere. And we are the channel. We are the opening. God, grace is already extended. You can't do anything to earn it. It already exists. The question is, are you going to allow yourself to receive it? Are you going to allow yourself to embrace it? Are you going to extend the grace to others? How does it show up? Be forgiving. Be compassionate. Look at a situation from a different perspective. Be gentle with yourself. Give yourself space to rest. Stop being hard on yourself. Grace is waiting like, next. Yep, there's an opening. Next. Oh, there's an opening. It shows up when there's an opening. Quali said, amen. Grace gets me up and in this office every morning. I know that's right. Quali is a teacher. Yeah, right? And if there ever was a time to be graceful with our own thoughts, our own actions, if there ever was a time to accept the grace that already exists, you don't have to do anything. It exists. It's there. Think about it. Think of it like a bank account that's never going to run out. All you have to do is just keep putting your ATM card in. Take out whatever you want. It's there. It's there. This is a time to embrace grace, to align with grace, to be more graceful. It's more than just how you carry yourself when you're in with family. It's an inner way of being. When you can just take a moment to be still. And if you stop long enough, you might feel something that just brings tears to your eyes. Hey, Christine. I saw a comment on IG. Okay, I'm ready for the next question. Don't be shaking your head at me. You better stop that. Why are you gonna be shaking your head at me? Oh, I guess it's kind of like,
Yeah.
Ade's good. See, I took it the wrong way before, and then I opened myself up to grace, and I realized when someone goes shaking my head, they're like, damn, he's good.
Yes.
What do you think, Leslie?
I think that's incredible. That's perfect. I think kind of continuing on, and this really goes again just with what you said, but how can one live in a state of perfection in an imperfect world? I'm betting you're going to say something about grace, but I could be wrong.
Well, that's it. You answered that question. Next. I mean, how can one live in a state of perfection in an imperfect world? First thing I would say to you is, what is your definition of perfection? What is your definition of imperfection? Get very clear with that, then you might find a different answer. You might even find your own answer. There's so many places I can go with this, but I'll keep it simple. How can one live in a state of perfection in an imperfect world? Is to recognize that this is going to challenge some people, maybe. What you call imperfection may not be imperfection. So maybe the imperfection is what you're projecting. Because when you have a better understanding of what is happening, you might find yourself saying, oh, my bad. I didn't know. Human beings are not qualified to decide to judge the world and say it's perfect or imperfect. We do it, but what does that mean? What rule book are you using to say the world is imperfect? Humans do some imperfect shift. You know, I don't mean that crap. And then once again, when you say that, or when I say that, that's what I'm calling imperfection is based on my own definition, because they're doing things that I don't approve of. But even that would be used. Let's just say, okay, it's imperfect. We all agree. Come on, man, that's just imperfect. Okay, God will use that too. As Leslie said earlier, that's grace. Without imperfection, you won't know what perfection is. And even more important, you show up as perfection. You be the perfection. You be perfect in an imperfect world. So whatever your definition is of perfect or perfection, you show up as that. That's how you live in a state of perfection, because perfection is is a state of mind. There are some people in a world where there's chaos and peaceful. And there's some people in a world where there's peacefulness. They're stressed the flip out. There's a state, you're right. A state of perfection is a state of mind, a state of consciousness. So when you show up as perfection, your presence start to clean shift up. Your presence starts to rearrange things, your vibration, your energy. Maybe the people that are fighting, when you come in glowing, because you've been listening, now you're glistening, and you show up, the people fight them go, damn, look at all that light. You're glowing. I'm going to fight you in a minute. Hold on 1 second. I'll be back. You know, show up as perfection. That's how you do it. The spiritual qualities, they're all verbs: faith, love, beauty, creativity, trust. They mean nothing if you're not applying it, if you're not living it, if you're not being it. It's just a great idea. What the world needs is love. Yeah, what a great idea. But when you show up as love, you don't even have to say you're showing up as love. People will get their own meaning out of how you're showing up. You're just so caring. You're so beautiful. You're so compassionate. You're so whatever. I don't know. I just want to stay with you. I just want to listen to you. I just want to hug you. When you show up as it, whatever the it is, you don't even call it a name. When you're full of God, you just overflow everywhere. People don't care what you call it. That's how you do it. Woo! I'm ready, Leslie. I know Leslie be like, let me make sure before I jump in, because he might still have some more to say. How do you say that name in the chat room, Leslie? Bebe? BB? BIBIH. Yes. All right.
Okay,
Leslie, I think we'll do one more question because I got to finish early today. So
okay, that's what I was thinking. One more. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess this just seems to go with the theme of everything. So how about this one?
Okay.
Is there such a thing as healthy ego? Or is the ego the real enemy?
Sometimes I find myself going to the second question because I think that's more loaded. Well, if you believe the ego, if you believe that the ego is your real enemy, that's your problem right there. You know? So healthy ego, yes. And for me, a healthy ego is when your ego is led by your heart. When your ego is inspired by your alignment with the divine. You can spiritualize your ego. There's some people saying, death to the ego, get rid of your ego. When I'm in my ego, I'm edging God out. I get it. But if you believe there is no spot where God is not, where you go, how can you edge God out of? God is all there is. It's everywhere. It's infinite. Can you count to infinity? Keep counting. So the ego itself is neutral. The ego, you can call it healthy, but the ego just is. And thank God for the ego, because sometimes you might just get your ass knocked over by someone or by a car. Your ego is like, wait, there's a car coming, trying to protect you. Don't touch that, that's hot. You know, just things that you do that's automatic sometimes. And I know that when it comes to change, your ego is like, oh, hell no, we ain't changing. Don't go messing things up. No. Play small. Nobody knows you. If you start letting your light shine, people are going to pick on you and people are going to start talking about you. Well, you can tell your ego, people are already talking about me and I'm playing small. You know, people are always going to talk about you. They either love who you are and they say, I just love you. Don't ever change. Thanks. That's not something positive to tell somebody. I can tell somebody, I love you. Please keep changing. Not because I don't like who they're being in that moment, but change is constant. We're always growing and evolving. There are things that we used to do that we no longer do anymore. So yes, healthy ego, but how about allowing yourself, doing your spiritual practice, the work? The work is coming back to God. And let your ego be led by a deeper voice. Let your ego be led by truth. Your ego has no power over you. The only power that the ego has is the power that you give it. And the spiritual, when you do your spiritual practice, however that is, maybe you go to the forest, you go to nature, you go to the ocean or whatever. You pray, you read a book, you read the Bible, you read the Quran, whatever. The more you do that, even your ego has to expand. And it's giving yourself permission to evolve, giving yourself permission to do something different, giving yourself permission to receive the grace, giving yourself permission to not know, giving yourself permission to say, I made a mistake. See, all those kind of things will make your ego go, oh man, you're apologizing, you're making us look bad, when it's trying to run your life. I made a mistake. You know, I said what I said yesterday because I was really pissed. I was mad at you. Why was I mad at you? I remember last year you said something to my mother, and you're like, "What? Last year?" It's like, oh, this is not even about today. You said something, and I told you about it, and you just kind of, shoot me off like what I said didn't matter. But when you tell your truth, your ego has no power over you. When you open your heart, I'm not just talking about your organ. I'm talking about the essence of who you are. Spiritualize your ego and don't get so caught up. I mean, you can get so caught up about making it healthy. I mean, how do you create a healthy ego? Take it to the gym. Come on, ego, lift. You can do it. You can do it. Pump. One more. Ego's like, I can't. This is too much. Just do the work. And when you make mistakes, if you can't affirm yourself, if you can't forgive yourself, reach out to a friend, reach out to someone. Come work with me to help you find grace, to help you find love, to help you find forgiveness for yourself. Okay, so it's BB. Okay, BB, thank you for helping me get it right. Yeah, when I think of edging God out as well, I think of Wayne Dyer. Powerful teacher. It's all good. I'm not judging or criticizing him. But he said edging God out. You can't. You can't. The fact that you can use a part of your faculty to edge God out, you're using God. If you say, I don't believe in God, the fact that you can think, I don't believe, that's God you're using. If you're mad at God, the fact that you can think thought to be mad at God, it's God you're using. You're using God to think of God. My dear friend in the UK said, sometimes I forget where I'm at. I'm talking about her like I'm not in the UK. I don't know where I'm at sometimes. She said, I surrender to not understanding anything at all. Now that's a place. To be in that space, for some can be scary. But when you're in a place where you don't know anything, you don't understand anything, you're open. In fact, if you don't understand anything at all, then you're not making any mistakes. Why did you do that? I don't know. Didn't you know you shouldn't do that? No. What's wrong with you? How old are you? Well, I didn't think age had anything to do with it. When you don't know anything, when you don't understand, you leave yourself open for the divine to speak through you. I got to wrap this up. This feels so good. I want to keep going. I get drunk on God conversation. Let me say that. Leslie, I think I'm done, but you want to jump in and say anything?
Oh, yeah. I think that was great. That was really fun for a first time. I mean, how did you feel? Maybe something we could do more questions. Do this maybe periodically.
There was a big. I actually would like to. Maybe we can do it every month. Maybe if we get enough questions.
Yeah.
I love. For me, I have no doubt I'm doing what I was created to be, to do, so I can have this experience. You say, how do I feel? I feel like there ain't no drugs. There are no drugs on this planet that can touch how I'm feeling right now. Yeah, it's like, right. If you want to know what spiritual orgasm is, live your purpose. Be joyful. Every moment you be catching one, like, I feel good. Even James Brown, I think he touched it too, right? I feel good. Yes, you be feeling good all over. I'm hearing another song. I don't feel like singing right now. I'm a great singer, but I ain't feeling like. Thank you, Sophie. Appreciate you. Thank you for being here.
Great. So I just want to express too, right, that it's any questions, anything goes, because we kind of stayed focused on a particular grouping. That's where the conversation went, but we have other questions that are about like romance, that are about, past episodes, that are past,
I think questions about how do you deal with a sidekick. I'll take that question.
I don't know if we have that one. put it out there. So
Bring it. My side chick won't doesn't respect me. Oh my God. I would light into that kind of questions. I'll be a little bit gentle. But yeah, I mean, my work is I'm a bridge to help people find meaning in whatever they're dealing with. And I help people in integrating the left and the right. I'm a middle person. You know, sometimes I can be quite right, sometimes I can be quite left, but I know that coming to the middle is where it's at. Yes, New Jay, you remember those times? Yeah, it is like old times. New Jay said, fantastic, like old times. Oh my God, I was getting excited when Leslie was telling me and we're talking about this. It's like, oh, okay, questions. So yeah, it'll be cool to do this once a month, and if not, we keep doing what we're doing. Well, yeah, let me let this go. I got another, I won't tell all my business, but I got a webinar coming up at 8 o'clock, which is in about 40 minutes, UK time, of course. And there's some things I still need to do. If you want to take the aha moments, the things that you've experienced, if you're looking for guidance and you want to move into action, integrate what you heard, and you need support, lifecoachade.com, lifecoachade.com, or you can go to adelove.co, Ade, love.co. Find me there, send a message. I'm happy to support you on your journey. I think that's it. I feel so good. I'm like, all I need now is a cigarette. I feel good. I got mine. I hope you got yours. Okay, let me stop. No, I won't. I'm going to keep it going. Yeah, if y'all send me questions, you're going to see the nutty part of me, the crazy, not naughty, the NUTTY part of me. I love being a nut. What else? Is that it? I'm finishing early, so I don't even know what I'm doing right now. It's amazing, isn't it? You get a sort of a muscle memory. I don't know if it's emotionally, and it just kicking in. So I'm overriding my muscle memory. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to go. Let me get out of here. Thank you very much for the questions. Send questions in. You can go to the Being You podcast Facebook page, post it there, or you can go to adelove.co, adelove.co, go to the contact page, send your questions, and know that your questions doesn't just help you, it helps other people. I don't care what the question is. Bring it. I give you what I got. And if it's really serious that we need to have a different conversation, well, we'll deal with that. I love you. I bless you. I appreciate you. And I thank God for you. Don't forget to join me tomorrow. Well, yeah, tomorrow, Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific. 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. Thursday morning in UK with Ricky Byers. Soul Fulfilling, an hour of great music and conversation. If you haven't checked it out yet, you check out the archive. I love Ricky. Just doing the show with her just inspires me to go deeper, to go deeper, to go deeper. And may you cultivate the courage to go deeper. May you cultivate the courage to know that you belong, that you're worthy, that you're enough, that you are loved, that you are deeply loved no matter what. If anybody's telling you anything other than that, this is one time I'll tell you to listen to me and take what I said. I mean, I want you to listen to me, period. But this one, I stand by. I want you to know that you're loved. I want you to know that there is a power of presence. No, you are an expression. You're an extension of a power of presence that's not tripping about the pandemic. That this is a good time to be creative. Yes, I know people are struggling. People are being challenged, and I'm not even playing that down. But you know, if there's anything going on right now that's breaking your heart, you just might be the answer. So yes, talk about what is happening is so sad, but what can you do about it? If it breaks your heart, it's an invitation for you to do something different. Once again, I love you, I bless you, I appreciate you, and I thank God for you. I am out of here. Anything else I need to say, Leslie? Because I'm high. I got a buzz. Okay. Nothing? Okay, cool. I want to invite you to take this consciousness and multiply it. Be the change you want to see for yourself. I'm out.
Yeah, yeah. When we